Gears of War Damnation, Chapter 18. Broken. Let go of me! All I could see was the flames of the explosion. The stinging in my ears was unbearable. I was left in a daze. The explosion sent me flying. Where was my brother? Did he die? I need to find him. I need to end this. I pulled myself together and went looking for him. I looked for him through his men's barracks and also in the house in the back, but I couldn't find him. You'd think the explosion would have blown him to pieces, but all I saw was remnants of his men's bodies. Unfortunately, my sergeant's as well. But not him. He somehow survived, and I wasn't gonna let him get away. My head was bleeding, and I was starting to feel dizzy. But this was my personal battle. Whether I lived or died didn't matter. I wanted this to end now. And there he was, sitting on the ground in a pool of his own blood, still alive. Hey, big brother. How did you survive that anyways? My brother looked up at me and said, Shut your goddamn mouth. You always wear the wise ass out of us. I chuckled and I told him, Yeah, that's true. Remember when we were kids and I totally sent that thrash ball through the neighbor's window? And I used my quick thinking to shift the blame entirely on you. And even the neighbors believed me. Even Mom believed me. You were so pissed. My brother looked at me and said, Yeah. And I remember I kicked your ass for that later on when no one was looking. You were crying like a baby, of course. Mom then found out because you told her, and I got in trouble again. I really meant when I said you were a pain in the ass. It was so weird. For a little while there, everything was forgotten. The world wasn't destroyed by the locusts. We weren't trying to kill each other. We reverted back to who we were. Brothers. Two brothers reminiscing about everything throughout our lives. Good times. Bad times. Times we got each other in trouble. And times that we fought. We forgot that it's already been over a decade since the last time we saw each other. We were just ourselves. Brothers. It felt good, but I knew it wasn't going to last. How could it? After everything that's happened. After everything he's done. We just stared at each other in silence. We don't know what was going through each other's minds. My brother looked almost sad, but content. He reached for his holster. I immediately pulled my sidearm and shot. I hit him in the stomach. He started to bleed. And he sat backwards and simply said, Looks like you win this one, little brother. Blood splurted out of his mouth. He was dying. I'm sorry, brother. But I can't let you keep doing what you're doing. You kill innocent people, steal supplies. You even kill children. What would our parents think if they knew you were this way? My brother looked at me and smiled. Yeah, And what makes me any different than the cog frying cities and killing everyone? How am I any different, huh? Do you know what they did? I grew a tear in my eyes and said, What? What did they do? I never agreed with what the cog did, but why are you this way? What happened? Her brother looked at me and gave me the most sinister smile and said, Do you even know what the type of people you work for are like? Have you ever heard of a place called Galain? I looked at my brother confused and said, No. What is Galain? My brother looked at me and started chuckling. Yet again, very ignorant, little brother. Galain was a birthing camp. They would take women and young girls and force them to breed to save the human race. I just stood there in shock. This is the first time I ever heard of this. And I'm not saying what they did was right, but why do you care so much? My brother looked at me and said, 1 year. 1 year after we were split apart, I found someone. And I was happy. We had a young daughter. And we lived in the stranded camps. It was hard. But we were happy. Until they came. Many cog soldiers came and talked about recruiting soldiers and how they wanted to bring back the human race to defeat the locust. A few stranded men joined with the cog, but I didn't want to. I was happy where I was. They saw my wife and my daughter. Without any warning, they took them. I believe one of the scientists that was with them said they were good specimens. I fought with the cog soldiers, but there was just too many of them. They took my family and left me in a bloody pulp. It took months, but I was finally able to find Galain, and I found them. Do you know what they were doing to them? It's one thing to be doing what they're doing to a full-grown woman, but forcing my little girl? She was only 8 years old, and they were already prepping her to give birth. And I made my way through, and I found the scientist that was keeping them captive. He remembered me, and out of spite, he had them killed. What was the point of that, little brother? Explain it to me. I was able to get the scientist cornered. I tortured him until there was nothing left. His screams were amusing. And after that I vowed to kill anyone that was in the cog, regardless of age, gender, or standing. And anyone left over, and anyone left in pain, they deserve it for supporting such heinous acts. The world is broken, little brother, and nothing will change that. That was my older brother's final words. I just sat there, looking at him. I don't blame him. His actions were wrong, and he needed to be stopped. But I don't blame him. Who knew the cog was this way? It's hard to believe. What now? The whole point of being in the cog was to find him. Well, I did. And now he's gone. I don't know what to do. What is next? I reported back and let them know that the stranded insurgent was gone, and the list of the casualties and what happened. I just kept looking at my brother's body until the other soldiers showed up. As if all of this wasn't bad enough, there's been talk about weird tree-like things spewing out of the ground, and an infection causing animals and other creatures to turn glowing. Many casualties happened soon enough. We are going to need to leave the island very soon.